just like to take a quick second to introduce us. I know you probably all know who we are, but this is our dad. I'm Bill Jr., my sister Judy, my brother Tommy, my brother Jimmy. I would first like to thank Reverend Gage and the organist, David. We've only known you for a short time, but it feels like we've known you for a long time, so thank you for everything you've done. We are, as a family, my immediate family, and nieces and nephews and everyone, we are overwhelmed with the prayers, love, and gratitude that everyone has sent us, both text messages, emails, and social media. It's been unbelievable. It's helped us get through this week, so I thank you all so much for that. You've come from near and far, and we love you all, so thank you. My sister Jude has prepared my dad's eulogy. We've helped with some words, but she's worked very hard on it, and I think it's going to outlay how awesome our dad is. So thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today to celebrate the life of our father. As Bill said, we've had an incredible outpouring of love this past week, and the sentiments expressed about the man our father was are mirrored in my own heart. He was kind, loving, very handsome, charismatic, thoughtful, and he was a true gentleman. Dad had a great sense of humor and a quick wit. He could deliver a punchline flawlessly, and he kidded around only with those whom he loved. So if he gave you a nickname, you knew you were special in his eyes. His pet name for me since childhood was Buggy. When I was an adult, I finally asked him how he came up with the nickname, assuming it was something along the lines of maybe cute as a bug. He then proceeded to explain how I would follow him around like his shadow when I was little, peppering him with questions all day long. I should have known better than to ask. He was a huge sports fan, an athlete, and a coach. He loved the game of baseball, and he played for Needham High School and the University of Maine. He coached Little League for many years, coaching all three of my brothers, and he was a role model of good sportsmanship to many young athletes. I remember the year his all-star team won the state championship and went on to compete in regionals. Now, if you know anything about baseball players, you know they're a very superstitious bunch. So you don't change anything when you're on a winning streak, which is why he let his players talk him into allowing the team mascot, the Mathis family goat, her name was Victoria, to accompany us to New Jersey. Victoria indeed brought us luck, for sure, but she also ate through the entire roof of my mother's station wagon. Dad was proud that Billy and Jimmy both played college ball. Bill played baseball, Jim played soccer, and he really loved the fact that they both went to Florida colleges. During Billy's sophomore year at the University of Tampa, his team came just one game shy of competing in for the national title. Dad followed the team bus for weeks, and he became an honorary Spartan that year. Dad was an avid golfer, as many of you know, and a member of the Sandy Burke Country Club for 32 years. Some of his happiest days were on the golf course, and he played twice a week through last summer. Sandy Burke Inner Club was like family to him, and he held just about every office from president to tournament chairman. His favorite day of the year was the annual member guest tournament, when he had his 3 sons golfing with him. Dad always preferred to carry his clubs, and he did just that until courses wouldn't allow him to anymore. And then he reluctantly took a golf cart, but he always said, "Real men walk." And just so you know, Dad got his first hole in one just a month before he found out he got sick. It wasn't easy getting Dad on the plane. He was a homebody. But as a wedding gift 12 years ago, Billy, Jimmy, and Tommy took him on the trip of a lifetime, a week-long golfing trip to Ireland. In 6 days, they played 5 golf courses and drove halfway around the country. Not many people know that Dad was also a competitive badminton player, an A-rated player, as a matter of fact. He was a member of the Modest Club in Wellesley for years, and my brothers and I spent many weekends watching our parents play. When we'd get bored and antsy, Dad would have the bowling alley downstairs opened up just for us. It was like Christmas. This was real bowling, mind you, candlepin bowling. We traveled all over New England to badminton tournaments. I remember when Dad won the men's doubles division at the University Club in Boston, and he was taking us all out to dinner to celebrate. He had landed a prime parking spot right smack in front of the club on the street. We walked outside, and his brand new sedan was gone. The police found it a few days later, stripped and on cinder blocks in Dorchester. Now you have to understand, Dad was very fond of his cars, and he traded them in frequently. He drove a lot, and he had a leased company car. In fact, our neighbor Tom London always used to tease him, saying, "Bill McEvoy never washes his car. When it gets dirty, he just trades it in for a new one." Dad also was an avid walker. I think if he had had a Fitbit, it would have exploded from excess mileage years ago. When we were kids, he would take our Springer Spaniel, Winnie, for long weekend walks. He'd be gone for hours. He walked and walked until neither he nor Winnie could take another step. Then, he'd find the nearest payphone, call home, and say to one of his kids, "Have your mother pick us up at the Framingham Mall." We never had the guts to ask him if he ever considered turning around. Dad was a family man. Some of our fondest memories were summer vacations when we would all pile in the car and go on a road trip. The first week we spent was where Dad spent all his childhood summers, in Petersham in western Massachusetts. He called it the farm. My grandparents owned several acres, and life was simple there in the tiny town with no paved roads, woods for miles, and animals grazing in the fields. We swam in the Swift River by the beaver dam. We picked blueberries. We milked cows at our uncle's farms and picnicked on the town green on Sunday nights listening to live concerts in the gazebo. The best thing about Petersham was the penny candy store. At least that's what my brothers and I called it. Dad liked to drive to get the Sunday paper, and he would give each of us 15 cents. We circled the barrels of penny candy very carefully, picking a perfect assortment of 15 pieces and placing them in our little paper bags. We didn't make a sound on the ride back, except for the smacking of our lips devouring our penny candy. Dad knew what he was doing. We would then head out on an adventure, traveling all over New England, the Midwest, and Eastern Canada, discovering new places, always together. Our father was a man of simple pleasures. He loved listening to music, especially John Denver, Gordon Lightfoot, Roger Whittaker, Neil Diamond, and Linda Ronstadt. We were the first family in our neighborhood to own an 8-track cassette player. Yeah, we were kind of a big deal back then. On warm summer nights, he would announce, "Everybody in the car, we're going out for ice cream." We'd head to Bergson's for a cone, And then Dad would take us on a long, slow drive to the native waterfalls. He loved to cook. He was an incredible cook. It was something he learned in the Army, where he served as master chef, feeding as many as 200 servicemen 3 squares a day. He went through his Chinese food phase when my mom bought him a wok, his deep fat fryer phase, which was a favorite because it included donuts and onion rings, and he was a consummate grill master. The centerpiece of his talent was his secret homemade barbecue sauce. He finally trusted me to prepare his recipe when I was about 14 years old. I started writing down the instructions, and he said, "No, Jude, you have to memorize it." In 2007 and 2008, my daughter Casey fought a long battle with bone cancer. Dad came down to Florida for a month to help our family, and he drove Casey and I to Gainesville for her second major surgery halfway through an 8-month course of chemotherapy. When Dad first saw Casey, she was very weak. He was so tender with her as he knelt down beside her. A friend of mine ordered a few hundred green rubber crane for Casey bracelets. My whole family wore them. Even after Casey was in remission, Dad never took it off his wrist. My father was blessed to have 2 great loves. Our mother, Norma, his high school sweetheart of 30 years of marriage, and Dean, his loving wife of the past 12 years. Dad enjoyed his retirement with Dean, and I witnessed the tenderness of their love for one another. Every time I would call, I would ask how he was doing, and he would say to me, "Jude, every day is Sunday." Our father was a man of quiet dignity, and he left this life as he lived it. His last few months were spent at home in his comfy recliner, watching his beloved Patriots and Judge Judy every day on a flat screen that his sons installed for him. He received daily phone calls and visits from all of his grandchildren and his children and his great-grandchildren, all of whom he was extremely proud of. We all feel lost without him. We wish we had more time. But we're also very, very blessed. Dad bonded us in a very special way these past 3 months. And we leaned on one another in the face of his terminal diagnosis. I'd like to close with this. Dad had many, many sayings and words of wisdom he was fond of, but one in particular stands out in my mind. He always told us kids that we could accomplish anything we put our minds to. And whenever any of us experienced a setback or a disappointment, he would say, "Don't you worry. The cream always rises to the top, and you're the cream. Rest peacefully, Dad. We'll see you one day again in glory. But until then, we love you."